that's the point of this is I need you guys to know at least the basics to changing your body. And that's what Clueless to Cut is built for. You can actually trim down on the stomach, get the abs that you want for the summer. Because I know oftentimes a lot of guys pick up a little bit of extra fat coming out of the winter time. And I want you guys to know exactly how to get down to having your abs show, or at least the flat pack if you guys need it. And if you guys have been spinning your wheels, man, trying to change your body, I know this guide will help. You're trying to actually slim down, get a trimmer waist, lose the back fat, any of that type of stuff, then what you need to do is figure out how to get smaller, which is just simply a caloric deficit, sufficient protein, and 3 days of strength training if you want to do it right. Do not overcomplicate it. Like a lot of guys try a lot of things, and there's a lot of stuff on the internet that will make you think that you need to do it. Oh, let me take this fat burner supplement, or let me do all this other stuff. And it's just a waste of your time and money. And I hate talking to guys where it's like they put all this time, energy, and effort into it, and ultimately start to feel a little discouraged just because they're trying stuff that doesn't work. And I'm going to start with one of my golden rules of changing your body, which is if you are not a professional athlete, which is 99% of the people that follow this page, if you are not a professional athlete, how you control your body needs to come from your food intake. Completely discount all the activity that you get from walking on treadmills, sucking dick, anything that y'all count as activity, right? Oh, I have a busy job. Like, bro, throw that shit in the trash can. Basically, just ignore the watch calories and all this other stuff, what's going into MyFitnessPal if you guys are already. Let's dive in and break that statement down. All a caloric deficit is you're putting less energy in your body than your body burns a day. That's it. You're consuming less calories than your body burns. That's it. And so the greater that deficit, the faster you're going to notice your body change. Of course, there are going to be limitations on this, or limits or parameters that you want to put around this. And so we're going to dive into that in a little bit. But in general, if you are at basically a 500 calorie deficit per day, you will see significant change in a relatively short period of time. And so that's just a good rule of thumb. And so how do you know if you're in a caloric deficit, right? That is a huge part that a lot of people honestly don't really know how to do. And so we're going to dive into that. 3 steps, 2 fingers. Are number one, you're going to weigh yourself. I typically advise people to weigh themselves on Saturday mornings when they just wake up. And the reason why is because most guys on a Friday will go out and completely obliterate themselves. So they'll end up coming up fluffy, a little bit dehydrated from the week because they'll go out and party. Now, when you weigh yourself, this is solely just a data point, and I do want you guys to know from a mindset perspective, your identity should not be attached to a number. You are not your weight, but you need to have this information so that you guys can actually get where you want to go. Number one, weigh yourself. Number two, you're going to track your food over a sufficient time period, at least a week, right? We're going to do this longer because I'm letting you know if you're trying to actually change your body, a foundational thing is you have to have awareness on what's going in and out. I always equate it to finances. Do you need a budget? Maybe not. However, we know people who are trying to have financial peace that don't have a budget, and they rarely ever get that, right? And so as an adult, you got to learn how this basic thing as far as budgeting. People understand it with finances, but they don't think about it with their food. That's why you're going to start to develop this habit around tracking your food. There's a lot of easy ways to do it nowadays. Like MyFitnessPal is one of the easier ones just because of how large their database of food is. ParrotPal is also good to where you can actually basically take a picture and then it uses AI to scan and actually do the macros for you. Or you can old school and just write your stuff in a journal. However, it doesn't matter how you do it. It matters that you do it. And what you'll find is just the combination of weighing yourself and actually being aware of your inputs, you'll start to become more intelligent and make better decisions and actually start to see your body change in the direction that you want. Step 3 is you're going to weigh and adjust, right? You have weighed yourself now on Saturday. You've gone a week of tracking, and then you're going to do it again on the next Saturday. And then once you have that data, you'll now be able to see, okay, cool. I ate about 2,300 calories a day. And when I ate 2,300 calories a day, I went up, stayed the same, or I went down. If you went down, congratulations, you're in a calorie deficit. If you stayed the same, that's okay. Don't freak out. If you went up, that's okay. Don't freak out. Here's what you're going to do if you stayed the same or went up. Simply find something, because you tracked your food, and reduce your caloric intake per day by 500 calories a day. That'll start to inch you in the right direction. Now, why are they the same if you stayed the same or went up? And the reason why is because some people would try to drastically, oh no, like I'm getting fatter. I'm going up. Let me cut 1,000 calories a day out. Like, bro, here's what I found is drastic changes don't stick. Think of every long-term habit that you've had, more than likely, if you're anything like most people that I know, the real drastic life changes are usually ones that people put a ton of energy in, they fixate on, and then they'll like stick with it until whatever any life event happens, and then they get knocked off, and their brain thinks of that intensity that was required for you to be able to do that initially, and that was hard. That was too much work, and you find that you don't have the motivation to actually get back into it or stick with it. And so, but if you slowly over time, slowly make shifts, your brain thinks I can do this, right? And that's why 500 calories a day is the max that I would recommend changing, and then you go from there. There are some asterisks around what I just told you. Don't go below, unless you have a coach or something like that, right? Don't go below 1,800 calories a day. And here's why. If you are going below 1,800 calories a day, 1,600 at a bare minimum, odds are you may actually just not be tracking right. There are a lot of things that people oftentimes forget. I call them ghost calories. It's things that people forget naturally to track. I add coffee to my sugar, and you're just thinking, oh, I'm just drinking coffee and coffee has no calories. But really, each cup of coffee, because of how much sugar you add and how much creamer you add, is really like somewhere around like 160 calories. And you drink like 3 cups a day. It's oh yeah, I'm just cooking dinner, but you didn't think that you added a quarter fucking stick of butter. While you may be logging about 16 to 1,800 calories a day, it could very realistically be somewhere around like 20, 25, depending on how bad that is. And so, number one, always check to see ghost calories, sauces, the difference between butter and the non-stick spray. Most people don't look how they want to look, not because they're doing major shit wrong. It's not the big shit usually. It's the small shit that you think isn't a big deal. It's the fact that you're like, oh, well, I get stressed sometimes and I get high every now and then I have like the munchies, but that can't be it, right? And that's usually why you need a second set of eyes or a coach to actually analyze to see like, oh, bro, just remove this, this, and this. Number two, and this happens a lot, mostly because the guys who are aware that all you need to do is be in a caloric deficit and have sufficient protein. Most guys who are aware of that, they tend to lose weight in a way that's not sustainable, meaning because they solely focus on that and then they add in cardio, they actually decrease the amount of muscle that they have over time until their metabolism is in the shitter. They have actually suppressed their metabolism through that process to the point to where by the time they get here, we need to help them rebuild it. And so it's one of those things where, and some people have done this multiple times. Man, I got lazy and so, or heartbreak or anything, job loss. Let's be real, we're in crazy times these days. Any of that stuff has caused me to have an emotional response of overeating. And I ended up basically getting up to 230, 250, 300 sometimes. Then I cut back down, I went into beast mode for a little bit and I got down to 220. And now I've been stuck for the 16 months. I just can't get through it. This is why. Is because if you did not incorporate enough strength training, odds are that you actually suppressed your metabolism. And this is another reason why I don't recommend going below 1,600 calories a day at the absolute bottom. I usually say 18 is usually the yellow, the caution time before the engine breaks down, right? Continuing to reduce the calories is only going to worsen the problem. When measuring yourself, and I'm actually pull up what I'm doing right now is I'm actually switching over to our community because I actually posted it this morning in school in our community. And this is more if you're actively in the journey. So this is probably not for the people at like ground zero. This is like if you're at least like I've been trying for a minute, right? It comes with this feeling usually. I'm doing everything right, but the scale's not changing. So if you've been doing everything right, but the scale's not progressing, first we have to define everything right. That means that you are active 3 to 5 days a week. At least 3 of those days are strength training. You're getting enough protein in, which we're about to go into a little bit later, and you're still not seeing the results that you want. That's how we're going to define doing everything right. If you're not doing one of those things, then that means, okay, cool, that's the problem. Go ahead and start there. But if you're doing everything right and you're not seeing the scale adjust, what's the best protocol before getting on the scale to ensure that it's actually the most accurate? Because sometimes it's not that you're doing anything wrong, it's that you are measuring at the wrong time, which can actually throw this off. These are best practices before you actually weigh in. You want to drink zero 0.8, the same way we're about to get into this with protein, the same way it's 0.8 times your body weight. You can use the same number with your number of pounds for water. So drink 0.8 times your body weight and ounces of water for the 3 days leading up to the scale. You want to ensure that you're properly hydrated. If you're cutting, then within 2 days of weighing yourself, you want 50% of your calories to come from carbs. You don't want to be in a sauna within 48 hours of weighing yourself. You don't want to eat within 2 to 4 hours of hopping on the scale, which is why I say first thing in the morning on Saturday. And if you're at home, you want to weigh yourself naked or in the same clothes that you have that you weighed yourself last time. And that's for basically the intermediate guys in there to keep you from getting pissed off. But we have actually defined at this point, what is a caloric deficit? How do you create a caloric deficit? And some things to look out for on this journey, right? And so now we're going to go into sufficient protein. What is sufficient protein? How do you know if you're getting enough protein in your life? Rules of thumb will get you in the right general direction, right? And then at least enough to get started. And then after you guys are getting results, then you can be like, damn, this actually works. Let me reach out to this trainer, man. He clearly tells me good shit. And then we can help you get from point B to point A, right? Rule of thumb number 1 gram of protein per pound, or zero point 0.5 per kg for you metric folk. That is something that is actually usually useful for most guys because they're not on the extremes. If you're in the extremes, meaning you're a grown man, but you still have a little boy body, meaning you weigh 110 pounds, or you're a grown man, but you weigh as much as 2 or 3 grown men, then cool. That rule is probably not as accurate, right? The underweight guys need a lot more protein. The overweight guys don't necessarily need 350 grams a day. If you're anywhere in the mid band, that's actually a good rule of thumb. If you are not in the mid band, then typically a good rule of thumb to start with is you take your height in centimeters and you do 1 gram per height in centimeter. Now, which of those, because again, those will actually be two different numbers, which do you go with? If you're a beginner, take the lower number and go with that. The reason why is it'll get you started down the path. And it's about progress, not perfection. Most men are getting less than 100 grams of protein a day, which is absolutely asinine, right? It is insufficient protein to it's not only is it insufficient protein to maintain your muscle, but it's insufficient protein to keep you from doing crazy shit like eating a bunch of like fatty foods. And so it's like, if you struggle with keeping your weight down, odds are when you start to track your food, you're going to see, dang, man, I'm only eating like 87 grams of protein a day. Pick the easier number, start working with that. And then, of course, you can always expand it over time. That's how you'll know you're getting sufficient protein. And I want to slide this in. These have been ran and they show it doesn't matter which your protein source is as long as you're taking in multivitamin. Now, I will say, we're going to talk about this later, but I will say this. As you lean into trying to hit your protein goal, especially for us as gay dudes, you want to make sure that you're properly hydrating. That's always been a thing. However, people usually connect it to, man, when I tried to get more protein, all of a sudden I'm constipated. Bro, that happens anytime you eat more, but especially when you're eating more protein dense food, since typically it's going to be the sources are meat or meat alternatives. And so or your protein bar. So they'll blame the protein when the actual issue is just you didn't have a system around tracking your hydration anyway. And so now you're a dehydrated bitch and your digestion system is struggling to process the a lot of times volume of food. We have a list, like an ultimate guide of protein, that I'm going to also connect in this resource when I revise it. So you guys will basically be able to go there and download that in the training section. Next, we're going to go into what do you need to know about your macros so that you can actually get this lean body that you're trying to get. So if you're lazy and you just need to know, like, bro, just give me the juice, just give me the sauce, bro. Like, this is it. There's a phrase, if you can control your macros, you can control how your body looks. Calories. Controlling this is the key. Your body, the shape of your body, the size of your body comes down to energy in and energy out. Don't overcomplicate it. And that's all food is energy. Should be a fuel source, not just something for enjoyment. Use sex for enjoyment, not food. I should put that on a t-shirt. Energy in, energy out. If I'm trying to actually make my body bigger, I need to have a little bit more. If I'm trying to keep about the same, I need to have around the same. If I'm trying to make my body smaller, I need to have a little bit less. Put a little bit less energy in. Protein. We have gone through this as far as how do you know if you have enough, but what is it? It's the basic building block for your muscle. You gotta have it. And also too, this is why is the muscle important? Longevity and enjoyment. Longevity, having muscle actually fights off a lot of we'll just say like diseases like diabetes, high blood pressure. It actually assists you with that. Enjoyment, man, the more muscle you have, the more you can actually have a higher percent body fat and still look how you want to look. Fat, you need it for your brain health, your hormone health, and your joints. Also too, skin health, like it goes to a lot of stuff, so don't eliminate that completely. And then carbs, huge energy source for your body. Carbs aren't the enemy either. Take out carbs, you start feeling achy, you start feeling tired and exhausted all the time, you start having performance issues. If you take nothing else away, control the shape of your body with energy in and energy out, aka calories. Number 2, your protein is the basic building block for your muscle. You want to keep that. You need that. And then the other two, you need them in balance. Take that away and you'll be okay. Cardio guides won't save you. I won't spend forever diving into this, primarily because I made an entire resource on it, Shredded Not Scrawny, which there's going to be a button below the video that you guys can literally just click and hyperlink to it. Do not overcomplicate this. Calorie deficit, sufficient protein, strength training, 3 days a week. All right, cool. Cardio without strength training is what most people do. So they'll have the first two boxes right, but because they don't have strength training, ultimately they end up looking skinny fat by all definitions. The only thing, I mean, depending on who's saying the definition, I was a twink, man. If I was only doing cardio, I would have not gotten anywhere near how I wanted to look. And ironically enough, when you only focus on cardio when you're in that state, you actually make the skinny fat worse. Strength training is your way out. And here's why. Strength training increases how much lean mass you have. As you build more muscle, your body naturally is just going to consume more calories throughout the day, which again, for most of you guys is a good thing. You guys want to be able to eat more and not have to do as much activity. Well, strength train, right? Number two is it increases testosterone. And number three, your body actually gets better at burning carbs, right? So the thing that everybody else is telling you to take out of your freaking diet. The more muscle you have, the better your body is at actually efficiently breaking that down. All those who have like insulin sensitivity issues, people who have diabetes or prone to diabetes, now you don't have to overdo it and look like me, which honestly, in my perspective, I'm not that big. It's all comparison, right? But the point is you don't even have to have nearly as much muscle as me to start to experience the benefits of this. That's what strength training does. What cardio does is it'll momentarily burn more calories momentarily, but it doesn't actually compound over time. Also, the more your body, the more cardio you do, the more efficient it gets at doing cardio. It's like if you basically burn 200 calories by running a mile day one, if you're still running a mile on day 30, odds are your body's only burning like 180 calories. But that is also why people tend to go on this whole wave and cycle and yo-yo of just feeling like they can't control their body. Is like, dude, strength training is the long-term solution. And I wish more people actually preach that, but they don't, especially in the fucking gay community, which aggravates me because who doesn't like muscle bottoms? You know what I mean? The reason I did the fist when I talked about protein earlier is if you're trying to actually control your protein, right, or get enough protein, a good rule of thumb, you want to have about a palm size portion of protein, fist for veggies, this much carbs that you can fit in your hand, and then this much fat is basically just the top of your thumb. But for me, I'm gonna just be real. If I have about this much protein on my plate, I have about this much veggies on my plate, and I have about a cup of rice or any type of carb, I usually am good. I'm gonna sprint through these last two things and then we're gonna pause for questions. When I am helping, this is no shit. When I'm helping a client change their body, I consider it more like some people say meal plans. I consider it like a life plan is what I'm helping people with. Sounds mad corny, but it's real. Helping a client get their sleep schedule on track unfucks the rest of it. Oftentimes, just being real. If you're staying up hella late, if you're going out every freaking weekend, if you're doing these types of things, you make it so much harder for you to have the body that you want. You are swimming upstream, metaphorically. You are like taking dick with no lube. And why would you do that? You wake up refreshed, you have more energy so that you basically don't suffer from something called decision fatigue. You make better decisions. And also, too, when you are tired, you basically mess with your hormones to where higher likelihood that you're going to feel more hangry throughout the day. And sleep, number one. Number two, we've already touched on it, but proper hydration is a huge hack.